He wasn't supposed to survive. He wasn't supposed to make it back. This man, once labeled Hollywood's most dangerous actor, somehow became the biggest superhero on Earth. How does someone who burned every bridge, got arrested 6 times, went to jail, and was literally blacklisted by Hollywood, come back stronger than anyone expected? Most people think Robert Downey Jr. became a legend because of Iron Man. But the truth? Iron Man only happened because he had absolutely nothing left to lose. This isn't a superhero story. This is a survival story. A story about a man who hit rock bottom so hard it should have ended him. But somehow, it didn't. So here's the real question driving this entire video. How does someone crushed by life become a global cultural icon? Not by luck, not by fate, but by rebuilding himself from the ashes. He went from a chaotic childhood to addiction, to losing everything, to prison, to rebuilding discipline, to earning one last chance, to becoming the face of $1 billion universe. This is the story of a man who didn't just make a comeback, he reinvented himself completely.
A childhood wired for disaster. He didn't start with a fighting chance. His father was an addict, and by the time Robert was 8 years old, he was already using drugs. He grew up inside the entertainment world, a place full of creativity, but also full of temptation. A place where adults made reckless decisions and kids paid the price. His brain chemistry was damaged before he even understood what addiction meant. He wasn't weak. He was built on a foundation that was broken from the start. Fame too early, discipline too late. By 21, he was already nominated for an Oscar. He had talent, charisma, and momentum, but no structure, no boundaries, and no one to tell him stop. Hollywood handed him fame, but never taught him how to survive it. And fame without discipline is gasoline waiting for a spark. Hollywood's machine makes and destroys. Hollywood is a dream factory, but also a pressure cooker. Paparazzi, parties, money, expectations, all of it hitting him non-stop. They loved the star, not the person. As long as he made money, no one asked what he needed. No one looked at the actual problem growing underneath the success. Hollywood didn't fix him. Hollywood fed the version of him that was falling apart. The addiction spiral. Addiction isn't a bad habit. It's a biological trap, one that tightens every time you think you're in control. He got arrested. He got released. He promised change. But the cycle repeated, faster every year. The system punished him, but never treated the illness. And without real treatment, the spiral only pulled him deeper. The blacklist, the point of no return. Eventually, the industry ran out of patience. Studios dropped him. Directors stopped calling. Friends disappeared. He wasn't considered talented but troubled anymore. He became a risk, an liability, a man you cannot hire. Hollywood crossed his name off the list, and for the first time, Robert Downey Jr. had lost everything. He had hit the real bottom, the kind that either ends you or forces you to finally change. Prison, the wake-up slap. This wasn't a movie scene. This wasn't dramatic lighting or soft background music. This was a high-security prison. 15 days in solitary confinement. No camera, no fans, no fame. Just 4 walls and one man forced to face himself. For the first time in years, there was nowhere to run, and the silence was louder than any crowd he had ever heard. The brutal truth. That's when reality finally hit. Not like a whisper, like a punch. If I don't change, I will die. Not lose a career, not lose money, not lose fame. Lose life. This was no longer about acting. This was about survival. Rebuilding in painful inches. Change didn't come in one heroic moment. It came in suffering. He cut off the people who were destroying him, even when it hurt, even when it felt lonely. Withdrawal was brutal, physically, mentally. No glamour, no shortcuts, just pain and discipline. 6 days a week, he trained Wing Chun, not to fight other people, but to fight himself. Structure replaced chaos. Routine replaced self-destruction. Silence replaced noise. And slowly, he learned how to live like a normal man. Love and stability. Then came one thing he had never really had before: stability. One person did what no one else would do. She didn't cheer him on. She didn't make excuses. She said something stronger. If you want me, you have to change. Not tomorrow, not later. Now. That wasn't pressure. That was a lifeline. Love didn't save him. Accountability did. Love just gave him something worth changing for. Starting over, from zero. He didn't come back as a star. He came back as a nobody. Small roles, low pay, no demands, no ego, no attitude, no second chances to waste. Every role became a test. Every set became an exam. Every day became proof. Not that he could act, that he could be trusted. Slowly, Hollywood didn't see a problem anymore. They saw effort. They saw consistency. They saw a man who had finally grown up. This wasn't a comeback yet. This was something harder. A reconstruction of habits, of discipline, of identity. He hadn't become a hero, but he had finally become someone worth saving.
Marvel needed someone risky. Iron Man was not a safe bet. It wasn't a guaranteed hit. It wasn't a proven formula. Marvel was on the edge. One more failure and the studio could disappear. No big star wanted the job. And then one director made a decision that almost no one agreed with. Jon Favreau looked at one broken actor and didn't see a problem. He saw the role. He said, "He isn't acting. He is Tony Stark." Why he passed the test? This wasn't about talent. This was about truth. You can't fake scars that deep. The eyes of a man who had been to prison and survived addiction gave Tony Stark something no script ever could: weight, pain, reality. He did not pretend to fall and rise. He had already lived it. Iron Man didn't feel like a superhero. He felt human, because the man inside the suit had rebuilt himself too. Same struggle, same fire, same second chance. A role that changed everything. Iron Man didn't just succeed, it detonated. It became the foundation of the MCU, the first brick in a billion-dollar empire. And the actor everyone wrote off became the highest-paid star in the world.
Not overnight, not by magic, by trust. Hollywood had to relearn something uncomfortable. Don't define people by their worst chapter in their life, because some people rewrite the ending. The real lesson. This story is not from rock bottom to the top. It's deeper than that. Real change isn't luck, it's ownership. No excuses, no blaming, no shortcuts. Just brutal honesty with yourself and the courage to rebuild alone. That's not a movie moment. That's a life decision. The final truth. He didn't become Iron Man because of a suit. He became Iron Man because he rebuilt himself from the ashes. And that is the real superpower.